Ooh, you didn't tell me you were a brainiac.
Welcome to LeatherBrainz, your host, Slap-a-Dog here. And today, I have Scotty Del Rey with me. And we are going to be discussing some of the news that has been circulating around in the NFL. Not only that, we are going to finish off the episode by making complete fools of ourselves. We are going to play Kids Jeopardy to entertain all of you adults and also make maybe some of you realize that you also would lose to kids in Kids Jeopardy. So, let's jump into it. Let's talk about... I want to start this thing with Breece Hall because this is kind of breaking headlines. As a Breece Hall owner in Dynasty Fantasy Football formats, I'm sweating a little bit here, Scotty. Aaron Glenn, the head coach for the Jets, has stated that Breece Hall's in a good place, but the Jets plan to use a 3 running back approach this upcoming season. I think I understand kind of what's going on here. So I'm going to lay it out here, and you tell me if you agree with me, Scotty. So Breece Hall is coming up kind of close to the end of his contract, right? Not only that, you have Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson that you're going to have to pay. This was kind of the three-headed dog that we were talking about, feels like eons ago, was probably months ago in reality, but the Cowboys had to do the same thing with Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb, and I don't think Breece Hall is going to be a Jet here in the future. I think that they're going to have to move on. And the Jets have even said something along the lines of if Ashton Gentry's around, they might be interested. So are they trying to just skyrocket the value of their pick? Are they actually legitimately interested in Ashton Gentry? And what are your thoughts on Breece Hall entering a timeshare of sorts?
I don't know. I'm getting a little bit of mixed signals because I also tend to think that it may be smart to move on from Breece Hall, even though he's awesome. Like, he's another one of those players that anybody would love to have on their team. But they got a lot of young stars over there on the Jets, which is why it's so annoying. They've sucked so bad over the last couple of years because the expectations were pretty high. But I don't understand when you have a running back who's coming up on a contract year, why you're not... If the plan is to keep him around, then use him sparingly. If the plan is to ship him to somebody else, you run him into the fucking ground, right? You get all you can out of him before sending him off, and you skyrocket his value that way, right? You look at all the touches and carries this guy's got. He's amazing, and then you ship him off. If you want to keep him around, then you say, okay, let's have a 3-headed backfield, and we're going to keep everybody fresh and this and that. So I don't really know. I don't know what they're planning on doing. All I know is for fantasy football, this is not good news for Breece Hall owners. This is something that's going to make... And we already were a little bit nervous over there in that room with Braylon Allen, but now I'm pretty nervous.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I own him in Dynasty, and it's got me sweating just a little bit. And look, Aaron Glenn is a defensive mind, right? That's what he was when he was with the Lions. And so in your mind, do you think he's kind of taking the approach of, hey, this worked with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs? No? You're shaking your head no.
I'm shaking my head because what I want to say is just not good podcasting. We're supposed to be the guys who are telling you, the audience, all the facts, give you all this inside information. I do not pretend to know what the fuck's going on in the minds of anyone in the Jets organization. I don't know. Like, it seems like it's just been kind of a crapshoot. Whatever happens, happens. I thought they were going to be so much better than they were. Maybe it's Aaron Rodgers' ass. Now I'm a little bit kind of excited about Justin Fields. And honestly, Justin Fields is a whole nother layer to this conversation.
Sure.
Like, now you have a mobile quarterback. What's that going to do to this running back room that's already kind of apparently confused? Like, I don't know. From a dynasty perspective, this whole thing screams like I need to get the hell away from here as fast as possible.
I think there's a chance they could trade him this season. And if you look at statistically, if you look at Breece Hall the last few years, this last year was not great for him. And so I think there's a chance they ship him off this season and they roll with Braylon Allen, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name. But I think there's a legitimate chance that could be. If they draft Ashton Gentry, I don't even think Breece Hall's in the Jets locker room week 1. I think there's a chance that they ship him off now and say, hey, we appreciate what you've done. But Sauce is going to have to get paid. Garrett's going to have to get paid. your quarterback situation is still very confusing for everybody, and I know that you're excited for Justin Fields. I don't know. I'm not of the belief he's a long-term solution. The current contract is indicative that he's not the long-term solution, and obviously if he comes and shows that he could get something done, maybe they extend him down the road. But it's very muddy. It's very muddy, and as a Breece Hall owner, not excited to hear this news. I'll tell you that.
It's a punch in the nuts.
Yeah, I'm competing,
especially
baby.
because he's got so much freaking talent too. It's just this whole Jets team has been like that though. It's their defense was really good, and then they all kind of like once Aaron Rodgers showed up and then broke his leg minutes into the season, it was like everybody just got worse. The whole team just got deflated, and the defense got worse. Remember we were talking about Sauce Gardner, how amazing, incredible. I was saying he was a little bit overrated, a little bit of a cheater. And then, bam, you see the decline just instantaneously with everybody else on his team.
I think the will to I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've been in the locker room, but you lose Aaron Rodgers, who's supposed to be your Lord and Savior of the Jets organization, 4 plays in. Yeah, that would certainly do something to your mentality and be like, well, our season's kind of in shambles at this point. And then obviously the year thereafter, we kind of know what played out. So all is to say, I don't know. I really don't know. It's hard for me to believe that Breece Hall is not going to be existent. I mean, obviously, I think he's still going to be the focal point, but I do think there's a very realistic possibility that Braylon Allen is kind of, we see a split backfield at the very least. Maybe not a 3-headed dog, but I think that Hall's touches are going to be somewhat limited. And maybe that's because they want to keep him fresh and they want to try and sign him. But I think financially it's going to get kind of tough to pay all those people that I mentioned as well as Breece Hall. Mm-hmm. So I think if the Jets were going to draft Ashton Gentry, then there is a very high probability that they sell him, and he is not on the team week 1. So not good news for Hall owners, and something to certainly keep our eyes on. But we will go over to the Titans because they canceled their private workout with Shedeur Sanders. So you can kind of think about this, Scotty, in one of two trains of thoughts. Either they've seen everything they need to see from Shedeur, and he is, they're excited about him, or they've seen everything they need to see from Shedeur, and they're not interested whatsoever. So I don't know which way they lean. Admittedly, I don't even know if the Titans know which way they lean, because, obviously they have some kind of idea because they canceled the workout. I think it's not good for them to have canceled the workout. I think that, in my mind, that's almost more alarming for Shedeur Stan fans that believe that he will go to the Titans. That I think it's probably less likely of a scenario, because why would you, if you were interested in a guy, why would you not just go ahead and roll with, bringing him in for a private workout, right? Like, what does that hurt you to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something mundane, like scheduling. Hey, it takes a bunch of time and gets a bunch of people out there to go do this workout when we already know what we want. I tend to think that if you're going to cancel a workout with a guy, you're already sure that he's someone you would be interested in. Because I think if you were having second thoughts, the workout would make more sense, right? Like, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm not, totally happy with what I've seen. He's got a couple holes in his game that concern me. Let's get him in here and let's test him and let's find out. The fact that they just canceled it tells me, yeah, we would take him if he's still there. I think it's more likely that they're going to draft him if he's available when they're on the clock.
You think that? I see. I don't know if I do. Like, you think about it we're corporate men. We have jobs. And
we do have jobs.
And so currently. But if you're going through the interview process and you've already interviewed 3 times and they want to bring you in for a 4th interview and have you interview with a panel of people, what does that hurt, right? They just want to make sure everybody's kind of comfortable with, hey, I want to bring Slapdog into that organization. We think he's a guy. I want to get him in front of a panel and get everybody else's opinion. And I think that's just kind of where my mind goes, right? Is it doesn't hurt anything. And if you're confident that he would be your guy, what does it hurt to bring him in and try and have him build rapport and camaraderie with the rest of the organization as they go through this process?
I think that maybe one of the things that feeds into this is in my opinion, kind of lack of impressive quarterback talent in this draft class. Maybe they realized we need a quarterback. That's obvious to everyone. Will Levis is obsessed with mayonnaise. He forgot how to play football. So maybe we need to bring somebody in, but I don't really like any of the other options. So if Shedeur's there, we're taking Shedeur. I don't give a shit. Like, he's the only one with all this upside. Maybe that's their mindset, and they're like, we don't need to do anything else. We can use that time for his private workout on other guys we're less sure on because, I don't know. That's the only way I can reason it. But I guess it's just we're going to have to wait and see, I suppose. If I was Shedeur, I would be pretty sad about that landing spot. I mean, there's not really a good landing spot when you're going that early, but
yeah,
the Titans feel like just a mess.
Would you rather go to the Titans or the Browns?
Ugh. Probably the Browns. At least they have, Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb for now. Nick Chubb's there.
No, Nick
still.
Chubb's a free agent. Yeah, they don't have.
I still think the Browns.
I still would probably take the Browns as well. I think they've got a little bit. Look, you can talk a lot of shit on Kevin Stefanski. I think a lot of people do talk shit on Kevin Stefanski. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think that front office has really dicked him and and every single angle of which his career has been so far. So I don't really think Stefanski's the problem. I think that front office is just terribly ran. But I believe in Stefanski, and I think that I would rather be there with him and try and build something there versus go to the Titans and
And I also,
circus.
Maybe this says more about me than anything, but I think I would dig the low expectations. Like walk in,
yeah.
Oh, these Browns fans know what it's like to lose. It's nothing new.
However, the Titans also have pretty low expectations. Like let's not try and gloss this that the Titans have any semblance of we're expecting anything of them.
Yeah,
so.
but it was only a couple of years ago that you kind of expected the Titans to be scrapping in it when Vrabel was there. They were like, it never surprised you when they pulled out wins. The Browns, they've sucked for our entire lives.
I mean, they had like a couple years where they were over 500, and you were like, it was spicy for a minute, and then all the Baker Mayfields that happened. In news I didn't know about, Scotty, I don't know if you, I don't know if you were aware. Julio Jones was still in the NFL. He has announced his retirement. Were you aware of this? I had thought he was already kind of retired over the last.
He was
few
effectively
years.
retired. I don't think he played last year, but yeah, I mean he was on the decline for a long time. But it still goes to it's good to sit back and remember prime Julio Jones when between the years of 2014 and 2019, this man averaged over 1,600 receiving yards per season over that 6-year stretch.
That's dominance.
That's crazy. That's insane. He just lit the league on fire. He was the face of the league for a long time. So, I'm happy he gets to kick his feet up and not worry about trying to make these rosters with all these young kids that aren't as good as he was. And, that's got to be so annoying to be an old man and be like, I was so much better than you when I had knees that worked. But so it's good. It's good that he's getting to sit back and enjoy retirement a little bit. Call it a day.
Yeah. Congrats to you, Julio. Your dominance in fantasy and regular football will be missed. Trey Lance, he signed a 1-year deal with the Chargers, which I was kind of surprised at. I had seen some chatter that he might go into the UFL, and then he appeared up as a backup for Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Cool. Cool.
Are we done? If people who have listened to this podcast know, we have been rooting so hard for Trey Lance.
I know.
We have been rooting so
ties
hard for Trey Lance. I know he's the one player he doesn't know us, but we know him better than any other
I have his phone
player
number
that we
still.
could say.
Maybe I should call him.
So you should call him and just say, hey, listen, I know you're a backup now, but we still think you're cool. We're your number one fans. But the question, I guess, now is, should we still be fans? Is he just a backup forever? It seems
I'll
like
always be his fan. I think one day maybe if we play our cards right, we'll have him on the show. And so I don't want to rule that out. I will always
so
be
we
a
gotta keep being nice to him, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we can't.
Just in case he shows up.
Exactly, because then somebody's going to pull up the tapes and clip it and say, "These are what these guys said about you back in April of 2025," and so we got to be nice. But yeah, I think Trey Lance is just a backup now. I think it's kind of sad when you actually really look at the entirety of the situation, and it's like, as much as we headline news and we talk about news, I try and put myself in that player's, especially Trey's situation. You put yourself in his shoes, right? Like, dude, the 49ers leveraged all their draft capital to go get this guy who never really had the opportunity to showcase himself because he got hurt, which has largely been really his whole story of football. Goes to the Cowboys for a 5th-round pick, doesn't do anything, and now is a backup for the Chargers. I think, unfortunately, for Trey, that's just kind of what he's going to be as a backup quarterback in the NFL for a while. I think he has some upside in the event that Justin Herbert goes down or something like that, and I think that's why he kind of is an interesting backup quarterback for all of these different teams, is he will probably travel around. But, obviously, he's not taking Justin Herbert's spot. There was some chatter that maybe he could eventually take Dak's spot. That never happened. And so, and then you have Mr. Irrelevant come in and be very relevant for that team. And so it's just kind of unfortunate, because if he didn't get hurt, if you really think about the timeline here, if Trey Lance didn't get hurt with the 49ers, there's a pretty good chance that he is still the starting quarterback for the 49ers.
I mean, if he couldn't succeed there, the odds of him succeeding anywhere were pretty slim, because back when he got drafted, I know all of us with recency bias were like, the 49ers, they're all a bunch of old guys. But, of course, this is a dominant team that's been dominant for a very long time that dealt with a bunch of injuries this year. When Trey Lance was drafted, obviously this was Brock Purdy's when he was first coming up, and you saw how quickly Brock Purdy was just like an elite quarterback. That was prime situation to succeed. So it does suck. The injury kind of derailed everything, but we still haven't really seen him have a real opportunity. And that's what's kind of interesting to me. There's still a small part of me that's I know he's bounced around a little bit and people don't seem to see the upside, as far as the teams go. He hasn't had a chance to be a starter long term and develop that real game sense as an NFL player yet. And maybe, we don't root for injuries. Hopefully Justin Herbert's perfectly healthy all year long, but we've seen Justin Herbert have injury problems, and maybe Trey Lance comes in and gets an opportunity to play a 5 or 6 or 7 game stretch, and we see some improvement in that regard that gets him an opportunity to be a starter somewhere. I still think there is upside. It's just right now we have no hardcore evidence to suggest that he is capable of playing at the next level.
Well, and I think that's part of the problem, right? You look at these other NFL teams, and obviously they're evaluating these guys. That's their job, is to evaluate guys and see who's the better suit for X, Y, or Z position that is currently they need to fill. Quarterback is obviously that's a very highly touted. That is the most important position in the NFL. And so you're evaluating these guys all the time, right? Now, who's to say if he didn't land with the Browns as a backup quarterback, maybe he has a shot to potentially shine there, or the Titans, or one of these places. And so kind of sucks to see him go to the Chargers where there is an established quarterback. But I think at the end of the day, Trey's situation that he's currently in, unless there's an injury to somebody and he gets to go in and maybe we see something, I think that he is he's kind of that backup quarterback role, which is wild from, what was it, 5 years ago?
Just a few years ago.
Yeah.
You think Jim Harbaugh's got the ability to give him that juice that he needs?
I think Jim Harbaugh can do anything.
Maybe.
That man can probably move the sun with his mind. No, I don't. I think that, I think Trey's position, but I would love to have him on the show. So Trey, I know you are an avid listener. I would love to pick your brain on your career arc and your story and your thoughts behind it. So come on sometime. We would love to have you. Talking about loving to have people, Scotty. Trey McBride, baby.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about the highest paid tight end in NFL history, Arizona Cardinals. Let's go.
Crazy.
I actually do like this move. I mean, the Cardinals, as a Cardinals fan, hello. It's been a rather sad couple of seasons, but Trey McBride has been phenomenal. He's been I'm trying to think of a way to verbalize this correctly. A bright spot in my heart for an otherwise sad situation over the last few years, and I think he's great. Obviously the Cardinals paid him, which I think they should have done, and they did do, so I'm happy about it. But congratulations to him. Congratulations to Cardinals. Congratulations to me, because I get to have Trey McBride still on our team, where there is a lot of lackluster performance, and he is not one of those people. So I'm pretty excited about this.
Maybe we should talk about the Cardinals a little bit.
Sure.
Maybe put your fandom aside.
Sure.
I don't really know what to expect from this team.
I don't either.
I don't and I don't know if it's a Kyler Murray problem. If maybe there's just a ceiling to the success that it's possible for them to have with Kyler Murray, and eventually that's going to have to work itself out. Or if there's some other reason why they just haven't really won a lot of games. I mean, they're slowly piecing together some weapons now, and
Our
But I
defense
still
this
like
offseason, we did make some moves to secure some pieces on our defense, which I think is really great. I think, obviously, we had John Gannon come in as the new head coach to replace Kingsbury, which I like Kingsbury, actually. I just think that, like, I think Kingsbury would have been a great offensive mind for us, and he was a great offensive mind, but I think he was maybe just a little in over his head as a head coach at the time. John Gannon, I think, is a goober, but I think he from a defensive perspective, I'm interested to see like what he does with some weapons this year. I think our offensive coordinator, Drew Petzig, is a moron. I think he needs to go. I don't know, because I think some of it's culture and personality. And you mentioned Kyler Murray. He's definitely one that I get frustrated with, because I'm like, he doesn't have, Scotty, you're the guy who oftentimes talks about the leadership attributes that a quarterback brings to the room. And I look at Kyler Murray and I don't see any of those things, right? Like, one of the things that sticks out in my mind was last year, Marvin Harrison. It was probably 3 or 4 games into the season, and Kyler Murray had come, a reporter was asking him, like, Marvin's involvement in the offense, and Kyler Murray said, it's not my job to get, him the ball. And I'm like, well, no, actually, it kind of is your job, actually. So, like, you have those kind of things, and it's like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I really don't. I think that we need a new offensive coordinator. I'm not really sold on John Gannon, so if he goes, I'm not sad. But I think the Cardinals just have a culture problem. I really do think that's part of it. And so I'm interested to see what happens this year. The Seahawks, I think maybe we could not be bottom of the division this year. Maybe. Fingers crossed. We'll see. But I'm not optimistic.
New quarterback.
What's that?
They just got a shiny new quarterback.
Yeah.
They're all excited.
Yeah, they did a lot of things that I'm scratching my head at. But I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, we do have some weapons. James Conner is not getting any younger, but he's still looking good. You got Marv, you got Trey McBride, Kyler Murray. The problem is, if you look at the offense last year, and I was saying this all last season, I'm like, where's the play action, right? Like, where's the bootlegs? Kyler Murray's, he can move. That's one of his, like, you talk about a tool belt of a quarterback, that's probably one of his best tools, his ability to move. And it's like, he's not a pocket passer, and yet you look at the offense, it's like, at times, the offense was clicking, and then it was like a 50-50 split where another drive goes by, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And so, like, utilize what you have. And I think that's from an offensive coordinator standpoint, we've failed in that way. So, I don't know. I'm not optimistic. I'm praying.
It does seem crazy. Like, if you were to, like, close your eyes and I was to tell you, okay, you've got a quarterback A. His strongest attributes are he's fast as shit. He's really shifty. He can move around. By the way, he's like 4'9". You have to do bootlegs. Like, you can't let him sit behind 6'7" offensive linemen and try and throw the ball. No matter how fast he is. If he's that small, he's not going to be able to see anything. That's crazy.
I know. And look, I played Madden well enough to know what a bootleg left looks like, and I can do it. I don't know why we're not just pulling up Madden and saying, hey, Kyler, do you think we could do this? Have Trey McBride run a drag route. Throw it deep to Marv. Like, I don't know. I really don't. And so I don't know what's going to happen this season. I think if our offense looks lackluster, Gannon's going to fire Petzig to try and keep his job, et cetera, and I definitely could see that whole arc of things going down with the Cardinals this year. So we'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath, but I think part of it is culture as well. Talking about culture, let's talk about the Raiders, because their culture is one of interest. Raiders, they obviously, we all know they went and got Pete Carroll as their head coach. Pete Carroll brings in Geno Smith. Geno's writing back, baby. I don't know if you knew this. He was on the last year of his contract when they traded for him. Raiders extended him 2 years, $85 million. That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Mean, I don't see why they would have brought Geno in if they weren't going to extend him for at least a short period of time. But
$85 million, though? You're talking like, what, $42 million a year?
To be honest with you, I hate the Raiders, obviously, as you can see from my hoodie. Yeah. But I don't hate this move, and it goes back to what I've said before about this quarterback class. It's just not all that exciting. Yeah. Obviously, they need a long-term solution at that position. I don't know if this year is going to be the year to get that. So having someone like Geno, who you know is capable of running an offense successfully, and keeping him for a couple of years, he's getting a little bit older, but he's proven himself to be able to, even in, suboptimal, circumstances. Obviously, when he went to the Seahawks, they had weapons there, but nobody really knew what Geno was. Like, he was real excited coming out of West Virginia, and then his NFL career started out terribly, and then he revitalized everything with Seattle. So you kind of feel like you have the faith that he's at least capable of being competent, at least more competent than what the Raiders have had, which is nothing. I mean, you could get a wet piece of, like a wet 2x4, and compare that to Aiden O'Connell, and it's like, toss up. I don't know.
So mustache, though.
Yeah, it's definitely an upgrade, and I don't hate the idea of finding a little bit of stability with this quarterback situation, coming out of the draft. I don't have a ton of faith in any of them either.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, too, is, I don't think they're going to look for a quarterback in this class. I think that signing is kind of indicative that they're going to look at it next year, and they're going to say, hey, like, given the outlook of what this quarterback class looks like coming into the draft, I think we just wait. So I don't hate it, right? Like, the Raiders obviously know they need a quarterback, but it is kind of worth noting the Raiders owner Mark Davis says this is his favorite time because we are undefeated.
The offseason.
Aren't all teams undefeated?
The offseason is Mark Davis's favorite time. He's finally like, I can sleep at night. Like, we didn't lose. I can sleep.
I don't have to turn on the TV and see
what a crazy
my team
quote.
ran through the mud.
Mark Davis,
I'm going to say this, though. I'm not optimistic for the Raiders because I don't think they're going to be great this year, but I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year.
Having a competent quarterback is going to make a ton of difference.
I agree.
Like, a ton of difference. Because that offense was just like, I don't know. Gardner Minshew. I love Gardner Minshew.
Me too.
Aiden O'Connell, he's fun to look at, so that's cool. But like, having someone back there that is capable of running an offense and you can have just a little bit of faith in, I think is going to make a huge difference for that team.
Yeah, I expect them to put out a better product than last year. So and Brock Bowers. I mean, I'm actually really excited for him too because I think that he's finally got somebody who's not named Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. We're talking about quarterbacks. Let's talk about Joe Milton because the Patriots, they traded away Joe Milton to the Cowboys for a day 3 pick. It was also worth noting that the Patriots actually had a couple different offers on the table for Joe Milton, and they wanted to respect Milton's wishes of going to the Cowboys. So according to the Patriots, they could have gotten a little bit more for Joe Milton, but they wanted to respect his wishes by sending him to the Cowboys. I think, we were talking about Trey Lance a little bit earlier. I think this is kind of indicative of what Trey is, too, in some ways, because, the Cowboys had traded a 5th-round pick to get Trey Lance, and obviously they didn't re-sign him as a backup quarterback, so I think that they wanted to move in a different direction, right? Obviously, there's a head coaching change. There was a bunch of stuff that went on, too, so let's not gloss over that, but it kind of sucks. I was like Joe Milton, going into the season last year, there was legitimate conversations, like, could Joe Milton be the starting quarterback over May? And like that was a conversation that was being had. So like that, obviously the Patriots want to get away from that chatter. So that's kind of one reason to get rid of Joe Milton. But I was kind of hoping he was going to go somewhere where like he'd have an opportunity to potentially be a quarterback, whether it be the Titans or the Steelers or the Browns or any of these teams that need a quarterback. Like the Steelers could have been a really fun one because they could have got him Joe Milton on the cheap and potentially seen, hey, do we have something here? So. Kind of sucks, but I mean, we know it's going to be the Dak show, and in the event that he gets hurt, maybe we see Milton come out, but that's kind of, I think, what this is telling.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are in a situation where they're like, someone like Trey Lance, someone like Cooper Rush, like those are quarterbacks that are sort of safe options that you need as a team if you're confident that you might still be able to sneak some wins out with a backup quarterback in the event of, your starting quarterback getting injured. When you look at the Cowboys last year, like, it doesn't matter who's behind center. That team was just ass. Like, they just fell apart completely. So I think what they're looking for in a backup now is someone with a lot of upside. Someone who's like, okay, nobody expects this guy to come in and run a team, but guess what? He's giant and a freak athlete. So, put him back there if we need to, and we'll just see if he can make some magic happen, because it's clear that someone like Cooper Rush, while being a competent backup, is not necessarily enough to get the job done. So you have to sprinkle a little bit of spice on there and hope it works out. I think that's what Joe Milton is. And, there was a little bit of chatter when he first came into the league about, okay, he looks like Cam Newton, so maybe he'll get some of that juju. But so often we see like this archetype of quarterback not pan out. Like it's actually pretty rare to see this athletic freak archetype come in and find sustained success.
Did you say the name Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, I mean Anthony Richardson is in that same boat. It's just difficult to do, and especially when you add on Anthony Richardson adds a whole nother layer, because when you have a quarterback who runs like this, Cam Newton being able to stay healthy for as long as he did, that's a miracle. That's crazy. Like you look at someone like Lamar Jackson, who obviously is great on his feet, but he's not lowering his shoulder and running through holes like Derrick Henry. Like he's being agile and running out of And Josh Allen is another example of sort of the exception, not the rule. And the rule is people like Joe Milton. I mean, you get someone who's drafted because look at their upside, and then even if they're capable of being competent on the field, it's hard for them to stay healthy for long periods of time. But that's why he makes a fun backup, because it's sort of like a Jameis backup, where it's like, okay, we're in kind of YOLO territory. Let's just see what happens, and we got this crazy guy back here who might be able to do something fun.
Well, I mean, Jameis he sits on the throne of awesome backups, so he will never be removed for that for me. You mentioned we were talking about freak athletes. Let's talk about Trey Hendrickson. Defensive lineman for the Bengals. He is disappointed in contract discussions with the Bengals so far, Scotty, and he's saying that communication, quote, has been poor over the past couple of months. I don't know if you knew this, Scotty, but the owner of the Bengals is a cheap ass. So that's
I've heard that.
Yeah, that's I think that's pretty well known. In fact, Katie Blackburn, the Bengals executive VP, had recently stated publicly that Hendrickson, quote, should be happy at certain rates that maybe he doesn't think he'd be happy at, pretty much suggesting that the Bengals do not plan to pay him top dollar, which I don't know if you also knew this. He led the league in sacks last year. He was pretty much the only piece of that Bengals defense that was worth anything. And the Bengals are saying, hey, you're not worth it. And yet Myles Garrett over here, and I'm not trying to take anything from Myles Garrett because he's a very scary man, and he is definitely an upper echelon elite. He's my favorite defensive lineman, or my favorite defensive player in the NFL right now. So, but I mean, you saw the contract he got this offseason, and so Trey Hendrickson is like, hey, I'm not saying I need to get paid this exact same as Myles Garrett, but I kind of like to be in maybe a similar ball field, and the Bengals are saying, no, thank you.
Yeah, he falls into this category, unfortunately for Trey, and I'm not trying to make this about race or body positivity or whatever, but when you look like Trey Hendrickson, there's just no world in which you should get paid the same as Myles Garrett to play football. Like, I look at those guys and I'm like, this is an entirely different class of athlete. And obviously Trey is amazing, but he's getting a little bit older.
I mean,
obviously
like,
the Bengals.
26?
I think he's 29.
Trey
Am I wrong about that?
Hendrickson age. I thought he was 26. Oh, he's 30. Okay, never mind. You're right.
Yeah. So he's getting a little bit older. He's someone that the big thing obviously here that nobody's talking about is the fact that the Bengals chose where they're going to put their money, and having paying your top tier older defensive weapons is just not that smart of an option nowadays. Now that you signed T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, so they just have to make the decision. I think it might be smart for Trey at this point in his career, despite the fact that he could get top dollar. Hey, you're the one piece on this Bengals defense that was working. If they choose to if they're able to get creative on the defensive side and just can get average, this is a team that can win the Super Bowl. So it's like, where would you rather be? And then, also you don't have to pack up your whole family and move across the country. Like, I would take a little bit less
on NFL players, like legitimately,
100%. Can you imagine? Listen, NFL players have wives. NFL players have families. Can you imagine? No matter how much money you make, you go home to your wife and you say, "Listen, I got traded." I got traded to a different, finance firm. We got to move to Cleveland. So sorry. Or like, we got to move to New York. Like, I don't know. That's just always going to be a headache, no matter who you are. So to me, at this point in his career, I think it would make a little bit more sense for him to stick around, take a little bit less money. He's still a millionaire. I mean, okay.
Well, yeah.
They lose sight of that a little bit, I think, once they start making those millions of dollars. Hey, it doesn't really make that much of a difference.
You got to pay. You have to pay taxes. You have to pay your agents, and they take it cheap. They are not cheap. I'm not saying that he's not a millionaire, because he very obviously is, but that still cuts into it.
More money, the better. I agree, but at some point in time, I mean, if there's a team that's going to pay him as much as Myles Garrett, if he's going to break records for defensive players, by all means, go for it. I just don't know that teams are going to be willing to do that on a 30-year-old guy.
Yeah. And I bet some of it is the years, because I bet he wants security for,
The rest of his
like
career.
4 years or something like that. And it's like, hey, are you still going to be playing at an elite level at 34? That's a tough pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about spending money, let's talk about our favorite person in the NFL, Jerry Jones. He's reportedly not worried about extending Micah Parsons, saying, I'd rather pay more money and get it right. Get what right? Get what right, Scotty? What are we getting right here?
If he was going to write a book, that'd be the story. I'd rather pay more. That's what it is. Because that's what he's always, over the last 5 years, that's all he's done is like, we're just going to wait and wait and wait until we have to break records to pay our guys to keep them around. And then next thing you know, we're ass. And that's just Jerry Jones in a nutshell.
If you would have paid Micah and CD and Dak last year, you'd be saving yourself millions of dollars. The cap space only goes up. And I know the cap's not real. We both know that. But in this instance, it is kind of real. And you're literally blowing money. You can't tell me Micah Parsons isn't worth paying.
Yeah, well, at the very least, if you're not going to pay him, you're not going to pay him. And that's fine. I think we talked about this before. If you're going to choose between CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott, one of them's got to go. Dak Prescott needs to be the one to go. But they chose to pay him first, which makes some sense. He makes the most money. He's the quarterback, right? They don't want to go into a full crazy situation where they're trying to find a quarterback. But at the same time, now you're talking about, yeah, we might keep him, but in order to keep him, we're going to have to break NFL records. And by the way, I don't know if you watched us last year, but it was a dumpster fire every week.
I mean, I'm not sad about it. Oh, this is the best news of all of this episode, Scotty. The chain gang is irrelevant, officially irrelevant. And so Sony's Hawkeye technology, kind of similar to what the professional tennis is using in the UFL, will now be used to determine ball placement. This is, I've been saying this for years. Get rid of the chain gang. Get rid of the two 70-year-old men who are having to, for them, sprint up and down the field because they're so old, carrying a stick and chains when I'm sitting at home watching it with a VR headset on. The year is 2025. The technology is here. Thank the good Lord upstairs that we are finally getting rid of the chain gang and we are going to use technology. It's a wild concept.
This is just another way AI is trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
We're gonna look at our children and our grandchildren and be like, hey, back in the day, they used to measure those first downs with sticks. Like, we used to watch them do that on TV. It was crazy. Now they've got robots doing everything.
You're gonna say,
obviously
Grandpa,
it's a good thing.
Go back to bed.
Obviously, it's a good thing. NFL fans are so sick of games being decided by some doofus with a chain or a referee who's half blind deciding if a ball moved a fraction of an inch further than it did. People are spending so much money gambling on the NFL. We got to get calls right that are able to be called right. Yeah. And there are always going to be some calls that rely on human judgment, but first downs should not be one of them. You got 45 high-definition cameras pointed at that ball. Why the fuck would you not be able to tell if he made it past a certain point? Now we can.
Put a chip in the ball. Yeah.
You don't even need a chip. These aren't even using chips. It's just cameras. And honestly, whatever. As long as they get the call right, I don't give a shit. And apparently, I saw some little clip or TikTok video or something that showed the average length of review times is less than 30 seconds with this system. And right now, with the chain gang walking out there to just arbitrarily put a stick in the ground, that takes 3 minutes. So we're gonna cut time for these measurements down too, which is
do you think
bad
that
for Burger King, but good for us?
I do love a good Burger King commercial. Do you think this Hawkeye technology has a laser on it too, so it'll point exactly where you need to put the ball?
Well, so from what I saw, the way it works is they have all these cameras that are obviously trained on the ball, and then when they say, okay, hey, we need the Hawkeye technology to tell us if it was a first down, they create a digital recreation of where the ball exactly was, from the tip of the ball, to the point where there are some UFL things that happened last year where they said, a guy was short of the first down by 1/8 of an inch. It's able to tell with that much detail.
Yeah, but then, the camera's not putting the ball where it needs to be placed at. So do we know how the ref knows where to put it? Does he have like an iPad and he's like, you're getting closer, you're getting colder, you're getting warmer. All right here.
Yeah. Next year we're going to have like a R2D2 that rolls the ball out to exactly the spot where it needs to be.
I'm here for that. Drop it out of the sky. I guess it would bounce though, so you'd have some issues there. Touchbacks will now officially be taken at the 35-yard line as the NFL continues to try to make the kickoff more exciting. They're really trying. I mean, they did it last year. They changed all the kickoff rules last year, and which was fine. It was okay.
Yeah. There are a lot of NFL fans who throw fits about the new kickoff, but it's like even the marginal more returns that we got is better than touchbacks literally every time. So as far as I'm concerned,
think this will encourage touchbacks even more?
No, the opposite. Because now if you kick the ball into the end zone or out of the landing zone, then the receiving team gets the ball an additional 5 yards closer to where they're trying to go. So this is basically saying, okay, if you're a special teams coordinator, you're thinking if we kick the ball in the landing zone, there is no fucking way in hell that returner is going to make it to the 35-yard line more than like 10% of the time.
Oh, so it's like, discouraging kickers from kicking it out of the back of the end zone.
Correct.
Do you think that has long-term impact on kickers as far as maybe their legs get weaker and then when it comes to field goals, they're not able to kick 50-yard field goals?
Maybe. Not all place kickers are doing kickoffs, though.
That's true.
So, but the alternative to this was getting rid of the kickoff altogether and just having the offense start at the 25-yard line. And honestly, I wasn't a fan of that. Like, I like the special teams element of football. It creates that just additional layer of excitement where something could happen or a game could turn around, even though it's unlikely. And yeah, these returns are an exciting play. And I think we should do everything we can to keep them. And I think this is a good rule. I mean, ultimately, I'm surprised they didn't do this last year. They talked about it for a long time in the preseason last year as to where they were actually going to officially have it spotted if it was a touchback. And they ultimately decided on first it was the 25 in the preseason, then it was the 30, and now it's the 35. And I think it's good. We're going to get more kickoffs and more returns. I think this is going to make a big difference in terms of the actual number of returns that we get this season, I think.
Yeah, I'm here for it. And also, like, what do you do with the rest of the roster? Like, if you get rid of special teams and you just do field goals and extra points, like, that's a lot of dead space on your roster.
Yeah, I don't know. It would change a lot of things, and it would be really sad if they got rid of it. So I'm all for trying to problem solve and keep this thing around.
I think we should just put flags on these players, and they should just play flag football.
Maybe we'll just substitute football for laser tag, and we just have them run around and do laser tag.
Some of the best athletes in the world just sniping each other.
Hardcore laser tag?
Or maybe even paintball. That way it hurts a little bit more.
Yeah.
Then you know when somebody gets hit. But then I guess that's paintball.
Just give them tasers.
Guns. Give them real guns.
All right. We just created the Hunger Games?
Yeah, I mean, essentially. We're talking about guns. Let's talk about the gunslinger himself. Kirk O'Chains, baby. He's not going to participate in OTAs with the Falcons, and he's expected to waive his trade clause in an effort to find a starting spot somewhere in the league. Let's put ourselves in Kirk Cousins' shoes for just a moment, Scotty. I know this is going to be so difficult to do, but let's just try. Okay? You're playing with the Vikings. You're playing with arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. You're getting the job done. You're not a Patrick Mahomes. You're not a Joe Burrow. But you know what? You got a chain hanging from your neck. You're on the plane with the boys. Life is good. You're winning games. Oh, shit. They're going to draft a quarterback. I'm going to go sign with the Falcons on a 4-year deal. 4 years. All right, cool. I'm going to play. I'm going to be the starter. They're signing me to a 4-year deal. It's not cheap. I'm going to be the starting quarterback. Draft happens. Michael Penix comes in. You're like, what the fuck is this? That's me. What are we doing here? You don't need that. Fast forward, end of the season. You're now sitting on the bench, and this young quarterback is taking over for you. Okay, all signs are indicating Michael Penix is now going to be the starting quarterback for the Falcons. Right? I still got 3 years left on my contract. Okay, and I'm still Kirk Cousins here. Scotty, I'm also 36 years old. Okay. I'm a 36-year-old Kirk Cousins. By the time my contract's done, I'm done. There is legitimately no chance that I'm probably going to be able to play at a high enough level to be a starting quarterback. What are the Falcons doing? What in the hell are the Falcons doing? You have your guy. There are teams that need quarterbacks, a bridge quarterback. Trade him. Have him take some of his cap space to another team. What are they doing?
I don't know what the Falcons have been doing since the draft last year. I mean, obviously that shook up the whole NFL world. And Penix looks good. So, I mean, maybe that's the right call and they're going to go win a bunch of Super Bowls with him. But it's certainly that decision of drafting Penix and the decision of signing Kirk Cousins to a long-term deal. Those don't mesh. Like, that's a sign of serious confusion or serious second-guessing. And now if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm just pissed off. He even talked about it when he got traded there. He's like, well, one of the big reasons is I know the Vikings were looking to move on. He was just coming off that Achilles injury, and they weren't sure how he was going to pan out going forward. He's like, I want to go somewhere where I can finish my career as a starter. On top of that, his wife has a bunch of family down in Atlanta. She likes it down there. That's kind of where they wanted to be. It was like a home sweet home situation, and then the draft happens, and your whole world comes crashing down. And if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm just so annoyed with the Falcons. And
you have to
if
be,
I'm
right?
him, I'm thinking, I don't even want to play football. I'm going to dedicate the rest of my professional career to making sure these guys have to pay me the rest of this contract. And I will sit my ass on the bench, and I'm not helping anybody. And these guys are going to pay me $250 million to do nothing because that's how angry I am. That's what I'm thinking if I'm Kirk Cousins.
I don't think that's out of the realm of what my mentality would be. Because you signed on thinking you were going to be the guy. And you want to go play football, right? And look, I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is a world beater and he's the best quarterback in the NFL. You can't tell me Kirk Cousins is worse than Will Levis. You can't tell me Kirk Cousins is a worse quarterback than Mason Rudolph. That's just not, that's not true. So there are teams that would take Kirk Cousins and use him as a starting quarterback, as that bridge quarterback. And instead, he sits on the bench because the Falcons are inept.
Well, I think there's still a pretty good chance that the Falcons trade him. I think they should. I think there's a good chance that happens. Because at this point, like you said, from the Falcons' perspective, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. They've clearly made the decision to move on to Michael Penix. They like what they saw out of him in the second half of the season. It just doesn't make any sense to keep Kirk Cousins on the bench. And Kirk Cousins is thinking the same thing. That's why he's not going to OTAs. He's like, listen, you guys just trade me. Like, we both know where this is going. Just trade me. I'm not going to go waste my time building a relationship with this team when I'm not going to be here. So that seems to be where this is leading.
As it should. Okay, let's just very quickly. Let's say he does get traded. Spitball to me. Where's he go?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, you look at teams like the Titans or the Steelers or the Browns. I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed with the Steelers yet.
I mean, that's true. It seems like that's almost a foregone conclusion. But,
correct.
If you're Kirk Cousins, would you rather ride out, getting paid another $175 million or $200 million, whatever it is, for the next 3 years as the bench, where you can help a guy develop and still be viewed as the savior of your of the Falcons if Michael Penix ends up being really good? Like, or would you rather go try and win games with the Titans or something? Like, that just doesn't.
I mean, you gotta wait. I mean, either way, he's gonna get paid because the contract's a contract. So, like, would you rather get paid to play or get paid to sit on the bench? I think
if you're asking me.
I know. Trust me. Sitting on the bench getting $175 million is not the worst thing in the world.
No, might be preferable.
But I think I'd want to play.
I think he probably wants to play. That seems to be what he's thinking. And Kirk Cousins, by the way, this isn't talked about enough. He's one of the most likable dudes in the NFL.
He really is.
It's so sad that he's getting screwed over like this. Like, I freaking love Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. He was on that quarterback show, and he was just... I don't know about his wife. His wife kind of seems a little crazy, but Kirk Cousins himself, she seemed... I don't know. I don't know how I feel about her. She seems like she's controlling. Very controlling. But Kirk Cousins, dude, I mean, he would answer fan mail and sign stuff, and I'm just like, what a nice dude. He just seems like a very wholesome, nice guy. Seems like somebody you want to just have a coffee date with, you know?
He
Sit there and
needs
talk
a
about
little
his-
bit more grit. He needs to go sit down with Dan Campbell, and Dan Campbell would tell him,
Yeah.
listen, you son of a bitch, you're going to get those guys. You make them pay that contract, and you sit your ass on the bench, and you just love it. Like, you just embrace it.
I mean, that's pretty much where he's at. So, look, I'm rooting for him to go somewhere else because I would rather watch Kirk Cousins than Will Levis. I would.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather just not ever see Will Levis step on the field again. All right, Scotty, we are running Kids Jeopardy.
All right, can you see that all right?
I can see it. Our name is Puffy Flavor.
Yeah, that was just randomly generated. I didn't make that up. As much as I'd love to take credit for that name.
It is a pretty good name.
All right, so this is Jeopardy. You know Jeopardy? This is where you have to answer the question by saying what is for some reason. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is.
Yeah, and if you don't, you they
They shoot you right on stage.
Yeah, they murder you in front of the crowd.
All right, so I kind of figure maybe we'll just take turns here, and let's. This is
gonna be
okay.
bad. This is for children.
This is
correct?
Jeopardy for children,
Okay.
but they're Jeopardy children. Like these aren't just normal kids. This isn't like Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Like some of
This
these
is what it feels
questions,
like.
I don't think anybody knows. This is like real high level shit.
Okay.
At least some of them are. And our categories are the continents, the Summer Olympics, Out of This World, your new class schedule, Americana, and not a verb.
Okay.
I don't know how any of this is going to go. So let's just start with, why don't you give me a category and a number, and we'll just rip it and see how dumb we look.
What is your new class schedule for 200?
Hold on. You don't have to say what is before the category. You got to say it
yeah.
before your answer. For 200, your
Yeah.
new class schedule. The question is history. Uh-oh. Hold on. It's not going to let you answer.
Ah!
Okay, no, we're good. We're good. Okay. History. Study up on this ship that anchored in Plymouth Harbor on December 26th, 1620. What is the name of that ship?
What is the
This one's easy.
Flower?
What is the Mayflower? Is that your final answer?
Yes. Lock it
Okay.
in.
Lock it in. The Mayflower.
God, I'm a
is
genius.
Correct. You freaking nailed it. All right. Oh, I said you got it wrong. That's all right. Okay, my turn. I'm going to go the continents for 200.
This continent is the largest in area.
The largest in area continent. So I'm thinking that would probably be. It's either going to be Africa or Asia. I'm going to go with Africa.
What is Africa?
What is Africa?
You got it wrong.
It's Asia.
It's
Fuck.
Asia. You should have said what is. All right.
Yeah. Damn it.
So far, we're 50-50.
Yeah. 1-1.
All right. What is, your new class schedule for 400?
For 400. Oh, you're sticking with this one.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm going to run it down.
All right. Make this breakfast dish of battered and fried bread called pain perdu in France.
Oh,
Ooh.
Lord.
Oh, I know this one, I think.
Battered and
Think
fried.
hard. Think the only food that you know.
What is a
from France.
croissant? No, baguette. Baguette. What is a or French toast? Dang it.
I'm not going to lie. I was thinking crepes. Crepes.
Man.
I think
kids.
crepes are French.
It sounds French. I don't know
Okay.
anything about crepes.
All right. I'm going to go Americana 200.
On July 8th, 1776, it was rung to proclaim the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence.
Oh. What is the Liberty Bell?
Ding, ding, ding.
Fucking nailed it.
You killed
Suck it, kids.
We're back to 50-50.
I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, we can't say that. No, that's let's not say that. All right. Let's go Out of This World for 200.
Oh, all right.
My ego got
Space.
blown a little bit on your new schedule, but I'm feeling spacey.
Ooh, okay. The gravitational pull of this object is the main force holding the solar system together.
What is the sun?
The sun.
Also, what is the sun?
Well, the sun is plasma mostly, and it's I believe it's nuclear fusion, something like that.
Yeah, don't we have those here on Earth?
We have reactors,
Why can't we?
but
make
there's
the sun?
fission and fusion. I don't know which one's which or what they do.
We need to ask one of these Jeopardy kids about it. What is the sun is correct, Scotty?
The sun is right. That is a good answer. Okay, I'm gonna go with Americana 400.
All right.
Suffragettes is that word.
Thank you. Were women who wanted the right to do this and got to with the 19th Amendment.
Oh, all right. One of the biggest mistakes in American history, if you ask me. The right to vote.
That is correct. The right to vote. Women can now do that with the 19th Amendment. Congratulations to all women.
Congratulations, women.
Let's do Out of This World for 400, Scotty.
You're sticking with space, eh?
Yeah.
Galileo was the first person to see the rings around this planet.
What is Saturn?
Man, these are... I don't want to talk shit too early, but we're kind of killing this.
No, look, man, we could go on to Kids Jeopardy. and these 30-year-old men could get it done. I'm telling you what.
All right. Well, I'm going to stick with Americana for 600.
All right. Check out exotic marine life at one of these, like the National one in Baltimore.
Exotic marine life in one of these.
What is a submarine?
No.
Just kidding. It wouldn't be a submarine. It would be...
Well, I'm thinking like
aquarium?
National Park, but what's like National Park for water? An aquarium? That seems like...
What is
right?
a national aquarium?
What is the National Aquarium? The answer is...
What is SeaWorld?
An aquarium. That's right.
Perfect.
We nailed it. Okay. That was good.
God, we're geniuses. Out of This World for 600, Scotty. I'm sticking with space.
Right.
It's doing me right so far.
I like it. Not the first, but this second planet is the hottest because its atmosphere causes a severe greenhouse effect.
Oh, this is getting tough. Not the first, but the second planet. What is Uranus?
Uranus? Let me tell you something.
I don't know how the...
You know
I
how far
Pluto's in the
Uranus
back.
is from the sun? Pluto's not even a planet anymore. It's a
Okay,
dwarf planet.
it's still a
Neil
planet in
deGrasse
our-
Tyson ruined that for all of us.
Yeah, I don't really like that about
Well,
him.
this answer, I
What is it?
believe, is going to be Mercury, Venus. What is Venus?
What is Venus Williams? All right, it is Venus. Scotty, we'll give half credit because Scotty had to help me with that one. Although I helped with aquarium. I figure
You did
probably
help
would've
with
got it.
aquarium.
You would have got it on your own though. I think.
I don't know. All right, I'm going with Americana 800.
All right, Tulsa's newspaper is called The World. Boston's is named for this object that depicts the world.
Oh, what is the globe?
A globe. Golly, Scotty, you're
Okay,
man
I'm not
of
going to
many
lie.
talents.
When I pulled this up, I thought we're going to look like such fucking morons. We are smoking this quiz.
Yeah, kids are stupid. All right,
Kids are stupid.
let's do Out of This World for 800.
All right, it's a daily double.
The daily
I don't know what's going on with that.
Wager it all.
Okay, we're wagering everything. I don't know what this means. All right. It was last seen in the skies in 1986 and won't return until 2061.
What is Halley's Comet? Golly, we just got it right.
Bro.
Ah.
Okay. Well, you finished all the space ones, so now you're gonna have to figure something out. I'm gonna finish Americana. Is this gonna give me a daily double? Nope.
No. The name of this Texas city is Spanish for yellow.
I don't know Spanish.
The name of this city is Spanish for yellow.
Okay. What would be El Paso? What is El Paso? Is that
No.
yellow? Paso?
No. Yellow's the one
can't
color I can't think of. I
San
know
Antonio?
Anaranjado is orange. Does that help?
I don't think that helps.
Yellow. I feel dumb because I know Azul.
Can I phone a
rojo.
Mexican?
Yeah, is your wife upstairs?
No. The phone a different one.
Where's? I don't know,
Well,
you-
okay, so it's a Texas city. So
Yep.
what are all the Texas cities we know? I know
Dallas.
Austin. That doesn't sound
Austin.
Spanish. Dallas doesn't
El
sound
Paso.
Spanish. El Paso sounds Spanish, but I don't think that's a color.
It's not a color.
You sure?
It's Amarillo or Amarillo. What is Amarillo or Amarillo? Amarillo.
Oh, you nailed it. Did you look that up?
Yes. No. I didn't
You know
look it up.
that's yellow?
It took me a minute, but yeah, it's how I figured it out.
Man, those 3 years of Spanish when we were 16 really paid off for you.
Dude, I almost failed every Spanish class I took.
All right, send it.
All right, let's do your new schedule for 600.
Your new schedule for 600. Okay, Spanish. Look at that.
Oh,
You'll have to use your cabeza. Cabeza. I said
this
that in
body,
Italian.
this cabeza.
This body part to pass the class. What's a cabeza?
I think it's your mind. This body part to pass the class.
What is your mind? What is the mind? That's a question.
That is a question. I don't know if it's the mind. Use your cabeza. Maybe your leg.
I don't think that's it.
No,
The
I don't
context
either.
clues don't lend it to that.
The context clues tell me mind.
All right. Final answer?
Yeah, lock it in. What is your mind?
Your head. I'll give it
Head.
to you.
All right.
That counts.
Give me a half point. That's fine.
All right.
We should have done real Jeopardy. We would look really stupid.
All right. I'm going to go not a verb for 200.
Capable, succeed, accomplish.
But it's not a verb? Or is it a verb?
Well, the category is not a verb, which leads me to
But
believe
I
it's...
think...
Oh, it is a verb.
I don't know.
Capable, succeed, accomplish. Win? What is winning? What is a win?
But
Capable.
Capable. Kinda
Capable,
throws me off.
succeed, accomplish. What is Jameis Winston?
Oh, Jameis Winston.
Yep.
That's it.
Lock it in.
Capable.
Oh, it's asking which one of these isn't a verb.
Oh. I was... Okay.
We'll give
All
you a
right.
half point because Jameis Winston, he's an automatic half point.
Okay.
All right, let's do your new class schedule for 800.
All right. Math.
Oh, no.
You're fucked.
I'm screwed.
Cheryl of the Clue Crew shows 2 hexagons on the monitor. So imagine that, I guess.
Okay,
But
I see it like it was yesterday.
a polygon may be considered convex or this, meaning having at least one interior angle greater than 180 degrees. Okay, 2 hexagons on the monitor. A polygon may be considered...
Cheryl of the Clue Crew shows. Oh, so they're just saying that she shows 2 hexagons on the monitor. I got that now.
Yeah,
A polygon
That's
may
what
be
she was saying.
considered convex or this, meaning having at least one interior angle than 180 degrees.
That's obtuse.
That's what I was going to say. What is an obtuse angle?
No, I don't think that's right, but I don't know what the answer is.
Well, it's not acute.
Concave.
Concave. That's the opposite of convex.
Yeah, no, that one was rough.
Kids,
I don't think
man.
anyone's getting that. That's one of those ones that one of those stupid kids would get, but nobody
Yeah.
else is getting that.
Dumb kids. All right.
All right. I'm gonna go with your class schedule for 1,000.
Science. Discover animal anatomy. Starting with Ursidae. Ursidae. This animal family. I do know this one, I think.
Really? Animal anatomies. I
I
don't
can
even
tell you
understand
what I think
the
it
question.
is.
I don't understand. Can you give me a hint by rephrasing the question in a way that a regular person would understand?
Okay. What is the animal family Ursidae?
I don't know. What does that mean?
I think I know.
All right. What do you think?
I think it's bears.
What? How did you know that? What does that
Is that
mean?
right? I was right.
You were right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What does this word mean? Ursidae.
It's the animal family of bears.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right, your turn.
Wow. Screw
That
you,
was-
kids.
That was impressive.
Summer Olympics for 200.
Smart. You might
Right.
have to get as high as 20 feet off the ground to win a medal in this vaulting Olympic event.
Pole vaulting. What is pole vaulting?
The pole vault. Nice. All right, that one was easy. Let's do Summer Olympics for 400.
At 26.2 miles, it's the longest running event in the Summer Olympics.
Well, 26.2 miles seems like a marathon.
Yeah, I
Is
would
that
agree
right?
with that. Yeah, no. What is a marathon, Scotty?
What is a marathon? The marathon.
It's
You know how the
26.2
marathon
miles because
started?
the marathon. I don't know how the marathon was started.
Yeah, it was
Wasn't-
some Greek guy had to run to tell the rest of the world that they won the battle or something, and then he ran that far and then died.
seems like he was inferior because people do it all the time now.
Yeah, well, he fought a whole battle first with a sword and stuff.
Oh, he fought? He wasn't just like a messenger?
I think. I guess I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they showed it in the movie 300, but I don't know if that's historically accurate or the same thing. I don't know.
Wasn't that not even the Greek?
I don't know why I asked if you knew what it was, and I clearly have no fucking idea how it got started. So,
Wait,
sorry.
I mean, I knew about the Bear family, so we're all full of interesting facts. The Summer Olympics for 600, Scotty.
Okay. In the Olympic 400-meter relay final, this many runners compete together as a team.
In the Olympic 400-meter relay final.
I think I know
What
this
is
one.
4 runners?
4
Wait a minute.
runners? Yep,
Okay.
that was right.
Yeah.
What were you going to say when you said, wait a minute?
I was just thinking. I needed more time.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do the continents for 400.
Early explorers called parts of this continent Vinland.
Vinland? Parts of this continent, Vinland. Why would they do that?
Probably because the letter F wasn't created yet, Scotty.
You think so? You think it's Finland? So you think it's Europe?
Yeah.
What is Europe? North America?
Ooh. Who's calling North America Vinland?
I don't know shit about continents.
What a bunch of idiots.
All right.
All right. The Summer Olympics for 800. I'm not ready to go over to the continents yet. I'm scared.
All right. Throwing events include this one, the hurling of a spear-like shaft.
What is the spear? It's
Also the name of a missile system used by the military. I think it's a shoulder-fired missile, if I'm not mistaken.
What is an
Rocket,
RPG? No, I know
Similar.
how they throw it. I can't remember what I just called it the spear, and I know that's not what it's called. What is?
I can't think of any hints to give you.
Just tell me it.
You want me just to tell you? You're giving up that easy? It's
No.
kind of pathetic.
No, what is spearfishing? What is what? Dude, if they had spearfishing in the Olympics, that would be so cool.
That would be
Or like fly fishing. Like, let's get some excitement going on.
Fly fishing's not very exciting unless there's a bear or a flood. What is
The Earth
javelin?
Javelin, thank you.
That's what it is. All right, I'm going back to the continents.
All right, this continent has a lot of marsupials, like the native wombat.
This is Australia. What is Australia?
Eh? Oh, no, wait, that's
Eh?
Canada.
They have lots of marsupials, including kangaroos.
Australia is correct, Scotty. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. I'll round us off on the Summer Olympics for 1,000.
In 2004, the USA's Brian Clay, with 8,820 points, took the silver in this 10-event contest.
What is Cooking with Gordon Ramsay? Took the silver in this 10-event contest. What is
an Olympic-
gymnastics?
That's a pretty good guess. The decathlon, 10 events. Deca, 10.
That's stupid. What isn't the decathlon?
I don't really know what a decathlon is.
Hold on.
It's 10 events, obviously.
Isn't that just like a quiz? The decathlon.
Now, that's like a... What do they call those? Like a demathlon. What do they call that? I know what you're thinking.
I thought it was a decathlon. The decathlon is a combined track and field event consisting of 10 different disciplines.
Okay.
Loser.
Well, now we know.
All right. We just
I'm going back
educated
to-
you, Brainiacs. You're welcome.
Continents for 800.
Okay, this continent has the longest mountain chain.
Longest mountain chain. Mountain chain. So maybe... I'm going to go
Kirk Cousin
with...
in his plane.
Okay, that chain. I got
And
it.
he was a part of the Vikings, who were where they live.
I think you're trying to get me to say Europe, but I think it might be South America. I'm thinking Peru's got all big mountains.
Dude,
Am I
wherever
wrong
Sydney
about that?
Sweeney's at has got some big mountains.
All right, I'm going to go South America.
Okay, lock it in.
Whoa!
Damn it.
I am the best there ever was.
You are. Now give me verbs for 400, because I'm not touching the continents. Paint?
Okay, not a verb. Paint, toothbrush, easel.
Easel.
What is easel? Nice.
God, I'm
Nailed
so
it.
smart.
Okay. All right, I'm going back for 1,000 on the continent. Skip
Okay. Scotty, in 1957, countries on this continent signed a treaty creating an economic community or common market.
1957. Signed a treaty creating an economic community or a common market. So that tells me Europe.
What is Europe?
There's a
'Cause there's a lot of countries
bunch
in
of
there.
countries in there, and they all work together, except for that one time in Germany that we don't like to talk about.
Yeah, mark that from the history books.
Europe!
Europe!
Let me tell you, I started out a little rough on the continents, but we really brought it home.
Yeah, you really rounded us out here.
All right.
Not a verb
These-
for 1,000.
1,000?
Yeah, I'm going for it.
Candor, center, canter.
Canter is a verb. Candor is a verb. Center. What is
I think you're
center?
wrong. I think you're wrong. Candor. You have candor.
Yeah, I guess you're not.
You don't do candor.
Yeah.
You
We
fucking
candored.
idiot. All right, I'm going 800 then.
Salt, pepper, sage.
Well, you can salt something. You can pepper something. I don't know if you can sage something. I'm going to go, what is sage?
Yeah, that's a good guess. That's what I would have went with. Survey says?
We nailed it. We're right.
Nice, nice. God.
All right. There's
All
a
right,
lot
this
of
is for all the
pressure.
marbles. Not
Yeah.
a verb
All
for
or nothing.
600. This is why I went in reverse. Wind, wander, wonderful.
Oh, this is a trick one.
Wind, wander. It's not wander. Wonderful. I'm feeling wonderful. I felt wonderful. I am wonderful. I am not wind. What is wind?
This was the trick. It's wonderful.
Oh my God.
Wonderful is not a verb because it's not
winded.
wind.
I could be
No.
winded.
It's wind.
That's bullshit.
It's wind. It got you.
It got me. Damn.
Wind and wander are both verbs.
You know who would have got that right? Aaron Rodgers.
Me.
He was
Me.
almost the host of Jeopardy.
That's true.
Honestly, that would have been a
All
much
right.
better alternative.
Oh, look at that. It's starting a new one. Should we just do this all night?
Yeah, let's keep playing.
All right.
I don't think
We're done
people
with
want to
that.
watch that, but that was great. I appreciate you throwing some Jeopardy in here. Hopefully, the Brainiacs enjoyed watching us stumble over some elementary
Basic facts.
education on Jeopardy. But we did pretty good. I
think
would
so.
say, all things considered, we are smarter than fifth grader. Not by
That was
much.
the question.
Yeah.
So we nailed it.
Yeah, which is a different game, but I just kind of was thinking Kids Jeopardy. So, well, that's all the time we have. Scotty, I appreciate you, my friend. All you brainiacs out there, do us a huge favor. Go give us a follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Not only that, but we have not just us over here on this platform, but we also have the Fantasy Brains, who are very, very, very in-depth in giving you a bunch of fantasy content right now. So they're right now, they're doing a lot of breakdowns on all of the incoming prospects, all of the NFL prospects for fantasy football. So they're breaking down film over on our YouTube channel. They're doing a variety of different players. So go check them out and listen to their show on Thursdays. Give us a follow on all your social media platforms. Appreciate all your time. Scotty, let's get the hell out of here. I love you guys. We are out.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tune into our new releases every week on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out LeatherBrainz.com for all of your fantasy football needs. And remember, Brainiacs, a championship should be more than a fantasy.